Twin flame, listen to this carefully. This is not just another energy update. This is not just another waiting phase. This is not just another maybe later. This week is a closing. Something that's been hanging in the air ends now. As the last portal of January opens, the twin flame connection is pushed into a decision point. Not someday, not soon, now. Because this portal doesn't support delay, it doesn't support avoidance, and it doesn't support unfinished timelines. Twin flame, you may already feel it. The pressure, the emotional intensity, the sense that something is about to break open. The feeling of, I can't stay where I am anymore. That's not anxiety, that's timeline pressure. Because this is the energy where truth rises whether people are ready or not. The runner can't hide the same way. The chaser can't wait the same way. The silence can't stay comfortable, and the connection can't stay in limbo. This is the week where almost becomes over. Almost choosing, almost reaching out, almost committing, almost letting go. Twin flame, this portal forces a decision. Either the connection moves forward with truth, or it closes with clarity. So if you've been feeling restlessness, if emotions are heavier than usual, if communication feels close or completely blocked, if it feels like something is ending even before it happens, stay with me, because I'm going to explain exactly what the last January portal activates in the twin flames, the signs that the cycle is closing, and what this week means for union or release. Twin flame. This chapter explains why this week feels different. Because the last portal of January doesn't carry starting energy. It carries ending energy. January as a whole is about reset, initiation, and intention. But the final portal of the month is about closure, about sealing what could not move forward in its old form. This is the kind of energy that says, you've learned enough, you've waited enough, you've avoided enough, and now something has to resolve. Twin flame, this portal is not gentle. It doesn't soothe confusion. It doesn't support emotional limbo. It doesn't reward hesitation. It tightens the field. It compresses timelines. It brings everything unresolved to the surface at once. That's why emotions feel heavier. That's why thoughts feel louder. That's why the connection suddenly feels urgent or overwhelming. Because the portal is forcing coherence. What's aligned will stabilize. What's misaligned will collapse. And the twin flame connection cannot escape that. Twin flame, this portal works on the energetic bond itself. anything that's been sustained artificially through hope, fantasy, fear, attachment, or waiting begins to lose support, not because the connection wasn't real, but because the version of the connection being lived is no longer sustainable. This is why many twin flames feel like they're at a crossroads without being able to explain why. You may feel a sudden exhaustion with waiting, a loss of tolerance for confusion, a desire for truth, even if it hurts, a sense that something has to give, a pressure to choose yourself or choose growth. That's not emotional instability. That's portal pressure. Twin flame, the last January portal, removes the illusion of time. Before, it felt like there's still space, there's still time, they'll figure it out eventually. Now the energy says, if it hasn't moved by now, it won't move without consequence. Because this portal doesn't extend timelines, it locks them in. That's why some connections will suddenly experience contact, confession, or confrontation, and others will experience silence that feels final, not because one is better than the other, but because the portal clarifies truth. Twin flame, this energy exposes what each soul has actually chosen, not with words, but with actions and patterns. It highlights who is growing, who is avoiding, who is ready, who is still hiding. And once that truth is visible, the universe responds accordingly. This is also why the runner feels more pressure now. Avoidance becomes uncomfortable. Distraction stops working. Silence feels heavy instead of safe. And the chaser, often the divine feminine, feels something shift internally. Not desperation, detachment, a quiet, I can't do this anymore. Because the portal is pulling energy back to self-alignment. Twin flame, this is not punishment, it's completion. Completion of a cycle that has already taught what it needed to teach. Completion of a dynamic that can no longer continue in the same form. Completion of lessons around waiting, chasing, running, and self-abandonment. The last January portal asks one question: will this connection rise into truth or end with clarity? And by the end of this week, that question will no longer be theoretical. Something will change. Something will close. Something will finalize. And even if it doesn't happen loudly, you will feel it. Because when a portal closes a cycle, the soul knows. Twin flame, this cycle is not closing randomly, and it's not closing because something failed. It's closing because it has reached its natural limit. For a long time, this connection was sustained by potential, by the idea of what it could become, by hope, patience, and spiritual explanations that made waiting feel meaningful. That phase served a purpose. It allowed growth, awareness, and awakening. But the last January portal does not operate on potential anymore. It operates on embodiment. This portal doesn't respond to feelings alone. It responds to what has actually been lived, chosen, and sustained in the physical and emotional world. And when the universe looks at this connection through that lens, it sees something very clear. The lesson has been fully presented. The journey has been repeating the same core message in different forms. You cannot chase someone into awakening. You cannot love someone into readiness. You cannot sacrifice yourself to save a connection. And you cannot stay in emotional limbo without slowly losing yourself. At some point, repetition stops creating growth and starts creating exhaustion. That is why the energy feels sharper now. That is why patience turns into clarity instead of endurance. That is why tolerance disappears. The soul knows when it has learned enough, even if the mind still hopes. Twin flame, the universe does not punish delay. It simply removes energetic support from patterns that block evolution. And the way this connection has been lived reached a point where it could no longer remain the same without costing both souls something essential. This is why the cycle is closing now, not because love disappeared, but because stagnation became incompatible with growth. The connection must either evolve into truth or end with clarity. There is no third option under this portal. The last January portal exposes who is willing to grow without conditions. Real union does not happen when both people feel the bond. It happens when both people are willing to live in integrity, even when that integrity demands uncomfortable choices. This is why the runner feels more pressure now. Avoidance no longer brings relief. Silence no longer feels safe. Distance no longer calms the nervous system. The same behaviors that once worked now create discomfort. And when a pattern stops working, the body reacts before the mind understands why. At the same time, the chaser experiences a different internal shift. Not desperation, not urgency, but a quiet withdrawal of emotional investment. The energy that once flowed outward begins to turn inward. The focus moves from "how do I fix this?" to "why am I still holding this?" This shift is not coldness, it's self-alignment, and the cycle cannot close until the energy stops being fed from one side. The last January portal cuts energetic cords that were held together by self-abandonment rather than mutual presence. That is why some twin flames suddenly feel a loss of interest in explanations, signs, or reassurance. They stop needing answers. They stop chasing closure. They simply want peace. This is not giving up. This is completion. Cycles close when repeating the same dynamic would pull the soul backward instead of forward. January is about identity, about who you become as a new chapter begins. This portal asks one simple but powerful question. Who are you choosing to be now? The one who waits, or the one who lives? The one who hopes, or the one who embodies? The one who stays attached, or the one who stands in truth? The cycle is closing now because the next phase of life cannot begin with unresolved attachments. Something must end so something real can start. And that ending may come through a conversation, a realization, a boundary that doesn't reopen, or a silence that finally feels complete. Not dramatic, definitive. This is not destruction energy. It's completion energy. And once a cycle completes under a portal like this, it does not repeat. It either transforms into something real or it releases completely. Twin flame. This is the stage where the pressure becomes impossible for the divine masculine to ignore. Because as this final January portal tightens the field, the masculine can no longer rely on the strategies that once protected him. Silence stops feeling neutral. Distance stops feeling safe. Avoidance stops feeling like control. What once gave him relief now creates discomfort. And that's how you know the pressure is real. For a long time, the divine masculine survived the connection by compartmentalizing. He could push feelings aside, focus on daily life, distract himself with work, routine, or external responsibilities. He could convince himself that time would solve everything, that eventually things would settle on their own. But this portal removes that illusion. The energy no longer allows him to stay split inside himself. The emotional truth he postponed begins to surface through restlessness, irritability, exhaustion, and a sense of inner instability he can't explain. He may feel on edge for no clear reason. He may feel disconnected from motivation. He may feel like something is wrong even when everything looks fine on the surface. This is not random anxiety. It's unresolved truth pressed against the nervous system. Twin flame, the divine masculine, is wired to handle external pressure. He can push through stress, responsibility, and expectations. But emotional pressure works differently. Emotional pressure builds inward, and when it's ignored long enough, the body starts reacting before the mind catches up. That's why sleep often becomes disturbed at this stage. Thoughts loop late at night. Memories surface unexpectedly. Dreams intensify. He may feel a tightness in the chest or a constant low-level tension he can't release. His system is holding what his heart refused to face. The most destabilizing part for him is this: the divine feminine's energy is no longer regulating the field. Before, even in separation, he still felt her presence energetically. There was a sense of connection that softened the distance, a feeling that the bond was still there, no matter what he did. That energetic safety net allowed him to avoid fully feeling the consequences of running. But when the divine feminine withdraws her emotional investment, the field changes. The masculine feels it as loss of grounding, as emptiness, as instability, as if the familiar emotional anchor is gone. And without that regulation, everything he suppressed begins to surface at once. This is why the pressure intensifies so quickly now. The portal amplifies whatever is unresolved, and the masculine, who relied on avoidance, suddenly has nowhere to put what he's been carrying. At this stage, he may not consciously think, "I miss her." Instead, he feels uncomfortable in his own skin, dissatisfied with life, disconnected from meaning, unable to relax. The connection becomes present through sensation rather than thought. This is also where panic can begin to build beneath the surface. Not always visible, not always dramatic, but real. The panic comes from sensing that something important is slipping away and realizing that the usual ways of regaining control no longer work. He may feel a growing urgency without knowing what action to take, a pressure to do something, say something, or make a move, while simultaneously feeling paralyzed by fear of consequences. That inner contradiction is the pressure point. Twin flame, this pressure is not punishment, it's correction. It's the universe asking the masculine to integrate what he has avoided, to stop outsourcing emotional responsibility, to stop relying on the feminine's energy to stabilize what he refuses to face. And this is why the pressure peaks now, because the portal does not allow indefinite delay. It does not support half-awareness. It does not protect avoidance anymore. The masculine is forced to confront a reality he postponed. The connection has consequences, whether acknowledged or not. And those consequences are now being felt internally. From here, The pressure can only go one of two ways. It can turn into collapse and continued avoidance, or it can break open into awareness. But one thing is certain: staying the same is no longer an option. The portal has removed that path. Twin flame. While pressure builds inside the divine masculine, something equally important is happening within the divine feminine. She stops waiting, not in anger, not in resentment, not in rebellion, but in clarity. This is one of the most misunderstood shifts on the twin flame journey, because from the outside, it can look quiet, almost subtle. There is no dramatic declaration, no confrontation, no emotional explosion, just a steady internal decision that changes everything. The divine feminine reaches a point where waiting no longer feels spiritual. It feels draining. She realizes that patience has slowly turned into self-abandonment, and hope has started to cost her peace. The last January portal brings this awareness sharply into focus. She begins to notice how much energy she has been holding outward, how much emotional space she kept open just in case, how much of her life was paused around a possibility instead of lived in the present. And suddenly something inside her says, I can't do this anymore. This is not detachment from love. It is detachment from limbo. The divine feminine doesn't stop caring. She stops suspending herself. She stops organizing her emotional world around someone else's readiness. She stops measuring time by signs, silence, or potential movement. The waiting dissolves naturally when she chooses herself without conditions. This shift is why the masculine feels such strong stabilization at this stage. For a long time, even in separation, the feminine's energy was still flowing toward the connection. Her hope, her openness, her emotional availability kept the field warm. It allowed the masculine to delay without fully losing the bond. When she stops waiting, that energy returns to her. The field cools, the pull changes. The connection becomes quiet but serious. And this is not something she does to provoke him. In fact, many divine feminines are not even thinking about him when this shift happens. Their focus turns inward, toward stability, toward peace, toward embodiment, toward living their actual life instead of imagining a future that requires someone else to change first. This is why the feminine's detachment feels different from past attempts to let go. There is no force in it, no strategy, no performance. It's simply alignment. The last January portal supports this shift because it cuts energetic ties that were sustained by overgiving rather than reciprocity. It doesn't remove love, it removes imbalance. As this happens, the divine feminine often experiences a strange calm mixed with grief. She may feel lighter and heavier at the same time. Lighter because she's no longer holding the emotional weight alone. Heavier because she's finally allowing herself to feel what waiting cost her. This grief is not a setback, it's release. And with release comes truth. She stops asking, when will it happen? She stops asking, what does this mean? She stops asking, should I wait longer? Because the answers no longer matter the way they used to. The portal closes the chapter of emotional suspension. The feminine understand, often without words, that whatever is meant to meet her will meet her in reality, not in delay. This is the moment where timelines truly diverge. If the masculine rises into presence, the connection can transform. If he does not, the feminine continues forward without bitterness, without chasing, without looking back. And that is what makes this stage irreversible. Once the divine feminine stops waiting, the connection can no longer remain undefined. The universe responds to alignment quickly. The energy either crystallizes into truth or dissolves into closure. There is no punishment here, no blame, no failure, only honesty. The divine feminine's shift is not the end of love, it is the end of self-sacrifice. And when that happens, the timeline accelerates. Twin flame. When the last January portal is active, the mind is not the first place where truth surfaces. The subconscious is. And that's why this stage is marked by intense dreams, sudden emotional waves, and a sense of inner overload that feels difficult to explain. The soul begins processing what the conscious mind avoided, delayed, or kept suspended for too long. Dreams become vivid, symbolic, and emotionally charged. You may dream of conversations that never happened, reunions that feel real, arguments that release unspoken truth, or endings that carry a strange sense of peace. These dreams are not predictions. They are integrations. They are the psyche closing loops that remained open in waking life. This is especially strong for the divine masculine, because while he may suppress emotion during the day, the subconscious has no interest in maintaining control. What he refuses to feel consciously rises at night. The bond surfaces through imagery, sensation, and emotional recall, often leaving him waking up unsettled, restless, or reflective without knowing why. For the divine feminine, the dreams often feel different, less chaotic, more clarifying. She may wake up with a sense of understanding rather than longing, a feeling of, I see it now, not necessarily happiness, but coherence. The dreams help her release attachment rather than deepen it. Alongside dreams, signs begin appearing more frequently. Numbers, names, songs, phrases, memories, resurfacing at odd moments. Not as reassurance, but as punctuation. The universe is not saying, wait. It is saying, notice. These signs don't pull the energy forward anymore. They bring it inward. They act as confirmations of completion rather than encouragement to continue chasing meaning. Emotionally, this stage can feel overwhelming. Feelings rise suddenly and intensely, then disappear just as quickly. One moment there is sadness, the next, relief. One moment there is nostalgia, the next, clarity. This emotional fluctuation is not instability, it's release. The portal compresses emotional timelines. Instead of processing slowly over months, emotions surface in waves. Old grief, unexpressed anger, disappointment, and love all come up to be acknowledged and cleared. This is why many twin flames feel emotionally exhausted during this phase. The nervous system is recalibrating. For the masculine, this overload often feels confusing. He may sense pressure without understanding its source. He may feel pulled toward the connection while simultaneously wanting to escape it. The internal contradiction intensifies because the subconscious is pushing for resolution while the ego resists. For the feminine, the overload feels like a final purge, a clearing. She may cry unexpectedly. She may feel tired. She may feel emotionally raw. But underneath it, there is a growing sense of stability, a sense that something heavy is lifting, even if it's painful to let go. This stage exists because unresolved emotional energy cannot pass through a closing portal unchanged. It must either be integrated or released. That's why communication sometimes appears suddenly here. A message, a confession, a moment of honesty that breaks the silence. And other times, silence deepens into something that feels final. Both outcomes serve the same function: closure. The portal does not force reunion. It forces truth. If truth requires words, words will come. If truth requires silence, silence will remain. This is why trying to control outcomes during this phase backfires. The energy is already moving faster than the mind. Interference only creates resistance, which amplifies discomfort. Twin flame, this stage asks for allowance, to let emotions rise without assigning meaning to each one, to let dreams pass without chasing interpretation. to let signs exist without turning them into instruction. Because the work happening now is not about direction, it's about completion. And when emotional overload peaks, it signals that the cycle is reaching its final threshold. What remains unresolved will soon resolve itself, one way or another. Twin flame. This is the point where the energy stops circling and starts deciding. As the last January portal tightens, what has been avoided can no longer stay hidden. The pressure that built internally now demands an outlet. And that outlet takes one of two forms. Truth finally surfaces, or silence becomes final. There is no halfway expression here. If truth comes, it comes with weight. Not perfectly, not always eloquently, but honestly. It breaks through hesitation and fear because the alternative has become unbearable. Words that were held back for months or years suddenly need to be spoken. Confessions, acknowledgments, admissions, or boundaries emerge because the soul refuses to carry them alone any longer. This is not about romance, it's about relief. Truth surfaces when the nervous system cannot sustain avoidance anymore. When pretending costs more than being vulnerable. When the body signals that something must change. That's why, when communication happens at this stage, it often feels urgent, raw, and emotionally charged. Not dramatic, but real. For some twin flames, this looks like a message that finally names what has been felt but never said. For others, it's a conversation that resets the dynamic completely. And for a few, it's a clear statement of inability or unwillingness to continue as before. All of these are expressions of truth. But if truth does not surface through words, something else happens. Silence becomes final, not cold, not angry, not performative. Final. This is the kind of silence that doesn't ache anymore. It doesn't provoke. It doesn't wait for a response. It doesn't hold expectation. It simply settles. And when silence settles like this, it carries clarity. Final silence means the energy has withdrawn consent. Consent to confusion, consent to waiting, consent to emotional suspension. It means the soul has chosen completion without needing explanation. This is often misunderstood as abandonment, but it's not. It's resolution without negotiation. It's the end of an internal debate that has already been decided. Twin flame, the portal supports both outcomes equally. It does not prefer reunion or separation. It prefers truth. If truth requires conversation, the door opens briefly and clearly. If truth requires distance, the door closes quietly and permanently. What matters is not which one happens. What matters is that something unresolved becomes resolved. This is why forcing contact during this stage feels wrong. The energy resists manipulation. Attempts to check, clarify, or test often meet resistance or backfire, not because communication is wrong, but because communication without truth is no longer supported. The portal amplifies authenticity. Anything misaligned feels heavy. Anything honest feels grounding. For the divine masculine, this is a moment of reckoning. If he speaks, he must own what he says. If he stays silent, he must live with the consequences. There is no energetic shelter left for half-truths. For the divine feminine, this is a moment of acceptance. She no longer tries to pull words out of silence. She allows truth to arrive in the form it chooses. And if silence is the truth, she receives it as such. This is why many twin flames report a strange calm here, regardless of outcome. The anxiety of not knowing dissolves. The emotional noise quiets. The system recognizes finality, and finality brings peace. Twin flame, this stage is not about getting what you want. It's about ending what can no longer continue. Whether truth surfaces through speech or silence becomes final, the portal completes the lesson. The bond either shifts into a new form grounded in reality, or releases its hold entirely. And once this happens, there is no return to limbo. Something has been decided. Twin flame, this is where the timeline locks in. After truth surfaces or silence becomes final, the connection can no longer exist in possibility. The energy stops hovering between outcomes and chooses a direction, not emotionally, energetically. And once the energy chooses, reality follows. This stage is not dramatic. It's definitive. Union does not arrive here because of longing, missing, or intensity. It arrives only if both souls have aligned with truth at the same time. Not perfect truth, not healed truth, but honest truth. The kind that shows up consistently, not only when pressure peaks. If union happens, it happens quietly at first. There is no rush, no chaos, no emotional roller coaster. The connection stabilizes instead of intensifying. Communication becomes clear instead of charged. Presence replaces fantasy. Action replaces explanation. Union at this stage feels grounded, almost simple. And that's how you know it's real. Because what survived the closing of a portal was not desire, it was compatibility at the soul level. But if alignment does not meet on both sides, the timeline moves toward release. Release is not rejection, it's resolution. This is where many twin flames misunderstand what's happening. They assume release means loss, failure, or abandonment. But release is simply the soul reclaiming forward motion. When release happens, something shifts internally. The attachment dissolves without force. The emotional charge weakens. Thoughts slow down. The connection no longer pulls attention away from life. There is no dramatic goodbye, just a sense of completion. Release happens when the lesson no longer needs repetition. The portal finalizes this because it does not allow unresolved energy to bleed into the next cycle. January closes identity loops. It clears space. It removes outdated attachments that cannot move forward with the version of you that's emerging. This is why, after this week, many twin flames feel strangely calm. Even those who hoped for union feel a quiet acceptance. Even those who feared loss feel relief. The nervous system recognizes that the waiting is over, not because the outcome was guaranteed, but because the decision was made. Union and release share one thing in common: clarity. And clarity restores energy. Twin flame, the timeline decides here because choice has finally been embodied. Not spoken, not promised, lived. The runner can no longer run without consequence. The chaser can no longer wait without cost. The bond can no longer exist without form. So the universe chooses movement. If both rise, the path converges. If one rises and the other doesn't, the path separates. And neither outcome is wrong. Both are corrective. Both return power to the self. Both end the distortion of limbo. This is why forcing meaning at this stage feels empty. The soul already knows. You may not have language for it yet, but your system feels the shift. Something is decided. Something is complete. Something is moving forward. And once the timeline decides, there is no reopening the old loop. Twin flame. This is not just another energetic moment that passes. This week marks a permanent shift. Because when a cycle closes under a portal like this, it doesn't reopen in the same form. The energy doesn't rewind. It doesn't give extensions. It doesn't revisit lessons that have already reached completion. Something about the way you relate to this connection changes forever. What ends this week is not love. What ends is the state of waiting. The identity of being suspended between what is and what could be dissolves. The part of you that kept checking, hoping, interpreting, and holding emotional space without reciprocity no longer has a place in your system. And once that identity dissolves, life reorganizes. This is why many twin flames feel an unexpected lightness after this week, even if the outcome wasn't what they imagined. The nervous system releases the constant, low-level tension it carried for months. The mind stops looping the same questions. The heart stops bracing for the next sign. The portal seals the lesson. From this point forward, the connection exists in one of two states: embodied presence or complete release. There is no energetic support for half connection anymore. No hovering, no checking in without commitment. No emotional access without responsibility. If union has been chosen, it will not feel dramatic. It will feel stable. The relationship will move slowly, grounded in reality rather than intensity. The chaos that once defined the connection will be absent. And if chaos returns, it will be a sign that the timeline did not truly align. If release has been chosen, it will not feel like loss. It will feel like closure. The connection will fade naturally from your emotional foreground. You may still care, but it will no longer cost you energy. The attachment dissolves without effort. Either way, something important happens. You reclaim yourself. This week changes how you define love. You stop associating love with endurance, patience, and sacrifice. You begin to associate it with presence, reciprocity, and peace. And that redefinition alone alters every relationship that follows. Twin flame, this is why the portal feels heavy before it feels light. The system resists endings even when they are necessary. But once the ending integrates, clarity settles in. You may notice that after this week, you no longer feel drawn to content that keeps you waiting. You no longer seek constant confirmation. You no longer feel pulled to analyze the connection. The obsession fades because the lesson has completed. This doesn't mean the connection was meaningless. It means it fulfilled its purpose. The last January portal doesn't erase history. It integrates it. It takes what was learned and closes the chapter so the next phase of life can begin cleanly. And that next phase is not about the twin flame anymore. It's about you, who you are now, what you tolerate now, what you choose now, what you embody now. From this point forward, relationships that do not meet you in truth will feel incompatible. Dynamics that require self-abandonment will feel foreign. You will no longer be able to shrink yourself to keep a connection alive. This is what changes forever, not the existence of the bond, the power dynamic, the attachment, the waiting, the illusion of someday. This week ends that, and in doing so, it opens a new timeline, one where your energy is no longer tied to what might happen, but grounded in what is. Twin flame, when this week ends, you will not be the same person who entered it. Something completes, something settles, something frees you, and that freedom is not the end of your journey, it's the beginning of living it.